A plunge-style track saw is a type of handheld circular saw that differs because the blade is held above the base of the saw until the user plunges the saw down to a preset depth. This handheld tool is then paired with a track that the saw attaches to, allowing the saw to glide smooth, straight, and accurate along the edges of this track. All rules from the circular saw apply to this saw. See the standard operating procedures of a circular saw on the Canvas page. When using this tool, be sure to wear safety glasses, hearing protection, and a dust mask. Be sure to follow all Woodshop's standard operating procedures, including filling out the liability waiver before using this tool. Be sure to follow the training found on the Canvas page. Review the user manual, also found on the Canvas page. And be sure to take the quiz for this tool. You can then move on to in-person training. The standard operating procedures for the plunge-style track saw are as follows. Set up your material on a clean, stable, and well-lit surface. Be aware of what is beneath the area of your cut. Lift the material off the work surface with scrap 2x4s to not mar the surface of the workstation. Secure your material with clamps to the surface. Clearly measure your cut. Be sure to differentiate between your workpiece and the offcut. Be sure to support your material on both sides of the cut. Place the aluminum track on the workpiece side of your cut. Align the rubberized edge along your cut line. Check the power of the batteries before using. The button in between the two batteries on the saw will display how much power is left. Be sure that there is half or more power left on each battery before using. If half or less, be sure to charge the batteries before using. With the saw de-energized and the batteries removed, you should inspect the blade. Place the saw on a work surface. Make sure the blade is clear of this work surface, then push the saw down. With the saw pushed down, you can lock it in the down position by rotating the blue knob that is found above the depth measuring device. With the blade showing, you can rotate the blade around to make sure the blade is not damaged. If you wish to change the blade, there is an Allen tool found underneath the handle of the saw. Use the arbor lock lever found to the left of the blade to lock the blade in position before removing the retention screw. Rotate the retention screw to the left and remove this screw. When removed, you can then remove and replace the blade. Be sure to replace the washer and the retention screw tightly down before engaging the saw. Replace the Allen key back underneath its spot underneath the handle. Unlock the saw from the down position. To use the plunge feature of the saw, you must use the button found above the handle with your thumb, depress this, and then you're able to unlock the plunge feature. To set the depth of your cut, put the saw on the edge of your workpiece. Lower the saw to cut through the material, then adjust the depth stop with the thumb screw found on the inside of the blade. Tighten the depth stop down at the appropriate depth. Then you can adjust the angle of your cut. The thumb screws at the front and rear of the saw allow you to adjust the angle of your cut. Loosen both of these screws and then rotate your saw to the appropriate angle, then tighten them down. The gauge at the front of the saw will display the angle you have chosen. When your saw is set and all maintenance has occurred, re-energize the blade by reinserting the batteries. This saw needs 2 batteries to be used. If using dust collection, you may plug a shop vac into the back port of the saw. Place the saw on the aluminum track and use the retention lock to secure the saw to the track. You can also tighten the 2 retention bearings to have a tighter grip to the track. If you wish to make a kerf cut or a shallow cut before cutting all the way through your material, push this pin in. This will limit the saw to cut a 1/4 inch into your workpiece. When you're ready to cut, depress the thumb trigger to allow the saw to plunge, then pull the trigger. Be sure to power the saw on before engaging the teeth into the material. Power on, then plunge down and push the saw smoothly along the track in the down position until all the way through the material. When the kerf cut is finished, return the saw to the starting position, remove the pin that engages the kerf cut, and then cut all the way through the material in the same way. Do not draw the saw backwards when cutting. This could create kickback. Do not cut towards yourself or others. When finished, unlock the saw from the track. Lift the saw from the track and set aside. De-energize the saw by removing the batteries and place back in its carrying case. Store the track by hanging it up. Follow all these standard operating procedures for the track saw when using.